Hi guys, welcome back to Finpact. Today I want to talk about whether I think Tesla's price has the potential to reach $1,500. Now the thing is, I can't say absolutely yes and I can't say absolutely no. It depends on a few things. Tesla is a leader in the electric vehicle and clean energy space. They are ahead of the game, they've got economies of scale, they're well established. Now, although it's a leader in this sector, it might not always be like this. But there is a growing list of competitors which may take its market share in the future. It all depends on how Tesla decides to play their cards going forward in the next 5 years. The price for Tesla is $650, as you can see in the chart here. It had its main rally up in 2020, but we saw a lot of EV stocks and tech stocks and energy stocks increase after the pandemic, after they hit their all-time lows after a few years. Now, we saw the rally up and then we saw it hit its previous all-time high, which was around $826.16 around mid-January, and then we saw it consolidate and correct itself and trade sideways. Now let's not forget, in 2020 around August time there was the stock split, but since then we have seen an increase in the share price. Now the reason I think it could reach $1,500 in the future is, first of all, its all-time high was at $880. Now I definitely think it does have potential to reach $1,500 in the next 5 years. Its all-time high was around 8th of Jan at $880. And if we see how market cycles go, when we have bull runs in both the stock market and in the crypto market, usually that happens after a crash takes place. So we had the pandemic crash and then we had the stock market rallies, and now we have seen everything cool down, and I think people realized we were going into bubble territory, and then we saw lots of people take profits, which was actually a smart thing to do, and then we saw the prices crash. Now I do think the prices can fall down further despite Tesla's fantastic Q2 earnings report. So that's the thing. Earnings reports being positive may not necessarily make a huge price rally. In fact, when investors are expecting a good earnings report, they generally sell on the news. They actually sell at the high because they know that when the earnings report is good, people will sell and profit on those positive earnings, and therefore the share price tends to see a slump quite quickly. Now, I just want to show you some of the support and resistance lines I've drawn. So if we can see, we had the rally up since 2020, and then we have seen it consolidate downwards, and I think the price will still go down. It can go down to around $631, as you can see here, or even lower to around 600, even potentially the late 500s. So that can happen until we see, further bullish momentum in the overall stock market, in the overall economy, because right now inflation has been really high. Lots of stocks have taken a hit because of that. So until we see that happen, we're not going to see a further rally up to the upside. But then again, if you are a long-term investor, this is just part of the short term. In the long term, you need to fundamentally believe in what Tesla is trying to achieve. And if you believe that they are able to make it, which at least from their financials, their vision, and Elon Musk, I think it's definitely possible. But again, it will depend on which competitors are there, whether they take market share, because right now the EV space is being primarily led in Europe and in China. So let's look at their 2021 earnings report. So in their earnings report, we can see that they've said that in the second quarter, they broke new and notable records. Now, this is key. We produced and delivered over 200,000 vehicles, achieved an operating margin of 11%, and exceeded 1 billion of GAAP net income for the first time in our history. Now, this people would expect, wow, we're going to see a huge price rally. They have gone and exceeded expectations. But that's the thing. Investors who are invested in Tesla, a lot of them are smart. They are going to be trading on the news. So because they were expecting such positive results, they were expecting that the price would increase, and therefore they would sell their holdings, take profits, and maybe rebuy back in when it goes to a later point. I am planning to buy more of Tesla. I already hold Tesla, but I'm planning to buy more until we see the price drop a little bit to $620, $630, as I showed you in the chart earlier, because I think that's a good entry point. And then we need to probably wait, I would say 5 to 10 years. Tesla is a long-term hold anyway. EV, electric vehicles, clean energy, they're all long-term concepts as it is. We're still learning to implement them and adapt them in our day-to-day life. Like, not every car is a Tesla. Not every car is electric. We in 10 maybe years, we will see petrol prices go up so much so that it's actually not economically efficient to have a petrol or, diesel car. But electric vehicles might be the new norm, because when climate change becomes a serious issue, it already is a serious issue, but when it starts getting implemented in government rules, then maybe that's when we will see some insane price rallies. Look, I believe in the long term for electric vehicles and clean energy, and that's one of the reasons I'm for Tesla. But I also want to be careful about the whole competitors list that are growing, because sometimes a market leader is not always going to be that market leader. Now, back to their earnings report. So yes, they've had supply chain challenges. So in particular, global semiconductor shortages and port congestion continue to be present in Q2. So I have heard that port congestion was actually quite an issue even in the commodities market. Also, we should talk about how they have successfully launched Tesla Vision in Q2, which has many possibilities, because that allows them to use data from over 1 million Tesla vehicles to source a large, diverse and accurate data set. Remember, data is the future. Data is the new oil. You guys know I'm super bullish on data company Palantir. So solving full autonomy is a difficult engineering challenge. So they will continue trying to solve things with real world data sets and cutting edge AI. So they are trying to stay ahead of the game. They are trying to improve in R&D by having AI and things like that to help them execute their business decisions. So yeah, and public sentiment and support for electric vehicles seems to be at a never before seen inflection point. This is the thing. And as we see it get more accepted, as more people are using electric vehicles, until then, we're going to have to wait, because there is a lot of room for growth in Tesla's stock price, even now. And I think this correction is actually a great time for us who missed this bandwagon. Maybe people got in late earlier when it was $880, when it was really high, and thinking it was too expensive. And many people anticipated a crash. So right now we're seeing discounts. So yeah, that's great news in my opinion. So if we see the Q1Q revenues, we can see Q1 2021 and Q2, we've seen an increase there year over year. Year over year, it's 97%, which is fantastic. Total revenues is 98%, and total gross profits, super important, 128%. So if you see this figure here, total revenues was this figure here, almost double this figure. So 98% increase makes sense. And adjusted EBITDA is this figure here. So yeah, and free cash flow, 619 million. Great stuff. Yeah, I mean, they have enough cash flow to use as a buffer if they have a bad year. But this year was a fantastic year. Quite surprisingly, I think, because 2020, there were lockdowns. I'm surprised so many people even were buying electric vehicles. But yeah, so it's great stuff for Tesla. And they said that it was primarily achieved through substantial growth in vehicle deliveries, as well as growth in other parts of the business. At the same time, vehicle ASP declined 2% year over year, as Model S and Model X deliveries were reduced in Q2 due to the product updates, and as lower ASP China-made vehicles became a larger percentage of our mix. That's what I was saying, that there are a lot of electric vehicles coming from Europe and China. So if we go into this article on investors.com, it says the list of Tesla competitors are growing. So when Tesla starts pumping out cars in Germany, it will go head-to-head in electric vehicles with 3 established German names. So the Volkswagen Group, BMW, and the Mercedes-Benz division of Daimler AG. And other serious competitors include General Motors and Ford Motor, in addition to its China rivals. So this is the thing. The sad truth of the matter is the EV revolution is now being led by China and Europe, where sales and government EV tax incentives are much stronger. Tesla, to get its mojo back, the company has to get ahead of EV media cycle that is increasingly being dominated by its competitors announcing exciting new vehicles, perhaps even more affordable new vehicles. Question is Tesla stock a buy? I personally think the price is going to dip a bit further. I think having Tesla in your portfolio, especially if you have a section in your portfolio for EV, then it definitely is a good one to help diversify your risk, because we don't know which will be the market leader in the future. Tesla has a high chance of doing that, especially given its the founder and also kind of the economies of scale they have reached. So in this they say, is Tesla stock a buy? Tesla stock is currently not a buy. The stock remains nearly 30% off its all-time high, even as major indexes recently reached record highs. So I think it depends on your vision on whether you think Tesla is going to be in the long term. Right now, I think the price will still go down. We are consolidating and trading sideways, so it maybe be quite selective on what you decide to do. Don't go all in and buy now. I would say dollar cost average in if you do consider buying. Also remember, I'm not a financial advisor. This is just purely my opinion and what I will be personally doing. So make sure you do your own research. One thing you have to bear in mind is that Tesla is constantly developing. They are trying to stay ahead of competition. They've got that new Tesla Vision, which is their data AI section. And all these things that they're doing to stay ahead is very fundamental in how we see Tesla perform in the future. If you look at right now, they've even said that Tesla has undertaken a massive expansion of its manufacturing capabilities. Musk wants to eventually build 20 million electric vehicles a year over the next decade. That's more than double the current production of other automaking giants. So it's on a mission to rapidly expand its manufacturing capabilities. It puts it ahead. I mean, already the barriers to entry in the EV space are high because the outlay cost to manufacture, to have good R&D, to have the cutting edge technology, even the AI and data to execute decisions in the right way for the right market demographic is important. So a lot of new EV companies will struggle to get in unless they have the right funding. Now, there are loads coming around in China and in Europe, like NIO. I mentioned them in a previous video recently, but Tesla is definitely ahead of the game from the US side, and they are expanding globally. So I think there is a lot of potential in Tesla's price. I think there is definitely a possibility in the long term for it to exceed its all-time high and reach $1,500. But right now, I think it's going to go down. And then once we see it go down, until we see another rally up, but that will also depend on stock market sentiment overall. Recently, stock markets and cryptos have been very soft, very quiet right now, but that's also because of it cooling down after the rallies we saw post the pandemic. I know you guys don't like me using Motley Fool, and I'm not using this as any sort of evidence to back anything up. I'm just showing you another person's perspective that they think it's also going to reach $1,500, or at least has the potential. Dan Kaplinger has made an article saying Tesla stock could hit $1,500, but these three things must happen first. And those three things are that Tesla needs to deliver 1 million vehicles. And then he said that, and right now I think it was 200,000 vehicles, wasn't it? Then second, Tesla's global expansion has to move quickly and work well. With the increasing number of EV companies from China and Europe, we need to make sure that Tesla is able to move quickly. And how can they do it? For instance, India has a potential market. Musk has hinted to get there. That would really open them up to a very, very large market with a large population. There was speculation on whether they will collaborate with Tata Motors. Thirdly, Tesla shareholders must keep holding on for dear life. Hodl, hodl, hodl. I think I'm not a big fan of the diamond hands concept all the time, but I think with something which has a long-term vision and a company that is actually investing and trying to expand now and has such a large market presence, something blue chip like Tesla, then yes, it is one of those companies that you should hold. Don't look at your portfolio every day. Don't look at the ups and the downs if you are holding for the 5 to 10 years. So yeah, they've said that Tesla's investors appear to have learned a lesson from the cryptocurrency craze, the bubble territory, how it all went up, and they've said that this term hodl, I just mentioned that, didn't I? Short for hold on for dear life. Basically, a lot of people have followed that strategy, but then they've seen a huge correction. So I think this mentality has probably shown the Tesla price rally in the first place. Of course, post-pandemic, loads of people were rallying, lots of crypto prices, stock prices. Tesla was one of them, very speculative, I guess. But in terms of the fundamentals, they are there. So Tesla also has a potential to have another speculative craze later on. I feel like because Elon Musk is so integrated with the crypto world with his tweets, people tend to speculate on Tesla in the same sort of way they would on a crypto. So next bull market in cryptos may even see Tesla's price rally. So yeah, you heard that first here. So it says anything is possible, but it's a long road. That's pretty much what I've been saying in this video. So anyway, guys, what do you guys think? Leave your comments down below if you want an update, if you want a full depth analysis of their earnings report with all the ratios, and I can calculate them and show you them in another video. Also, I have a Patreon where I post what I buy and sell in real time when I buy it, depending on what the market sentiment is, where I think the price is heading. So check that out. It's linked in the bio below. And you also get a lot of one-on-one support with me, depending on which tier you select, access to my live streams and Zoom calls. So yeah, check my Patreon out, and I look forward to seeing you guys in my next video. Bye guys.